The veil is paper thin, like rice paper thin. Let's talk about it. Welcome back, YouTube. And for those who do not know me, hello, my name is Noah, and on this channel we talk about death, true crimes, haunted people, places, and things, spiritual reparations, and how you can fuck around and find out. And if you're not following me, not subscribed to me, please do so. Subscribe here. Follow me over on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Lemonade, wherever I'm at. Follow me there too, boo. On today's episode, we will be watching a montage of TikToks about how the veil is so thin. I know y'all feel that. Y'all gotta feel it because I know I do. To the point where I have started wrapping my head again. I mean, the protection oil at the crown of my head is great, but sometimes you just need an old fashioned head wrap, okay? An old fashioned head covering, one that is also anointed with crown oil or protection oil. Because, baby, when you are clairaudience, whenever you are a seer, a hearer, a sensor, it's a lot. And if you have noticed, a lot of us spiritualists have been having trouble sleeping, trouble concentrating, may feel a little down. It is all the energy that's in the universe right now because that veil is like so damn thin. So we're going to be watching some TikToks that kind of explain what the veil is. And as always, I will be tagging the creators down below. Before I even get started with this video, thank you to everybody who went and got their readings from Psychic Source, from Miss Dara or Miss Simone or Miss Samara. Like, y'all really love my recommendations, and that makes me feel good because y'all know I'm not playing. I'm not bullshitting. Everybody that I know has had a Psychic Source reading, and they've told me, and these are my friends and family, like, hands down, best reading outside of me, of course. If you haven't got your psychic reading, click the link down below. You get up to 40 minutes for $19.80. So I'm going to let these videos, the next couple of videos, before y'all get in my comments talking shit, okay? Just hear me out. I'm going to speak fluent Japanese at the end, but I need you guys to really take these videos in because with this veil thinning, not only are we going to be sensing things as intuitives, our children, our little baby spiritualists that don't understand why they sense certain things are going to be experiencing it. So I want you to just listen and learn. And I'll be right back to speak that Japanese.
That's the news from the tornado. Y'all watch when I put play. You see up in the cloud. Watch them people walk out the car.
We then had to pull over because that's when emergency crews were headed towards when we saw an ambulance, we saw a fire truck headed that way. And so we are almost there, but we're not even in wind yet. And this is the damage we're seeing. We saw a few people kind of outside. It looked
A random lady warned me to leave the bar. She said tonight the veil was thin. So I'm at this little bar in Hyde Park. It was kind of giving like lounge vibes. I'm solo this night. It's a Wednesday night. And you know, one of those nights where like the music is soft and low and you feel like you're supposed to meet somebody or something like that. So I'm at the bar and I noticed this girl walked in and she was bad, like long legs, small waist, just pretty. But she wasn't alone. She was sitting with this older woman, which looked like she was probably like in her mid-40s or something like that. And she was dressed in all black. And something about her just felt like heavy. Like, not bad, just like she had seen stuff that most people pretended they'd never seen. So they sit down like a few seats away from me, but shorty, she just like keep looking at me, like smiling, whatever, you know, like with the flirty ass, like the come say something to me type of ass. So you know what I do? I step. So I walk over, you know, and I'm like, you know, y'all mind if I join y'all? And the pretty one, she kind of just laughs and she like, yeah, please do. But before I even sit down, y'all, the older woman that she's with grabs my wrist like with all her force, and she says something like, the veil is thin tonight, you need to go. And I'm like, what? So I'm thinking she just being weird. So I look at the pretty girl like that was like, you know, kind of felt like she was inviting me over, and she just kind of laughed it off. She's like, oh yeah, she's just like that. Y'all, but the woman, the look in her eyes, like she was like dead serious. And she says it again, but like even quieter. She was like, the veil is thin and she's not who she looks like. Now I'm just freaked out completely. But, you know, I played cool, whatever. So, you know, I was like, oh yeah, you know what? I forgot something in my car. So as I'm walking out, I glance back and the older lady just watching me, like shaking my head. And the girl, she just staring straight now, like in a trance, like she's not blinking, not moving, like a damn statue. So I get to my car and my phone buzzes, and it's like an unknown number, just like one message. It says she wears her last face well, but it ain't hers. I'm like, what? Like, what is going on? Like, I'm over saucy right now. Like, I'm just trying to leave. Like, I thought I was gonna have a good time. But that's not the crazy part, y'all. Now this girl keeps showing up in my dreams, and she's been showing up in my dreams every night since that night. I don't know, chat. Let me know something, chat. Like, let me know. I don't know what y'all think. I don't know if she trying to set me up. I don't know what could possibly be going on. But let me know something, y'all. Like, let me know something. Please share this with anybody you think can help. Save the video, favorite, whatever. Because I might even continue and make a part 2 if we can get some traction and somebody can let me know something. Let me know some, chat.
What you're looking at behind me is an example of how the spirit realm operates. Now, this is not my video. I saw this video on Threads by its_badcaptive59. The Bible shows us that there's a veil between the natural realm and the spirit realm. Now that veil is thin. So at times, whenever you see shadows out the corner of your eye and it's demonic spirits, you're seeing that veil. Kind of like how this looks. When people have dreams and visions of the Lord, at times you pierce the veil. You're on the other side. I know that's how it was for me. Other times you're seeing him, once again, through a veil. So then you see him, but then you take some of your interpretations of what you believe and you write it down. All that. Hearing God is the same way. Sometimes you hear him, oh, I know that's God. But other times he won't speak as loudly, or he'll give you nudges and impressions, and you have to discern if that's him or not. Once again, the veil. I don't know what show this is from, but many of you that have operated in the spirit realm, it's how it is. And I want you to take a look at this, okay? Number 1, Jesus said, I stand at the door and knock, and he wants you to let him in. Now, obviously, that doesn't represent Jesus, but imagine him on the other side of the veil, knocking at the door of your life, your heart. When you let him in, you'll see him more clearly. But the enemy does the same. He'll knock, he'll try to force his way in. That's how the enemy's looking at some of you right now on the outside of your lives. Get a good look at that. That's how the enemy is looking at some of you right now. And when I say the enemy, of course, Satan, but demons underneath him, fallen angels, trying to get in some of your lives. He's trying to push you and tempt you to do something that will open the door for them. And once you open the door, you break that. That's how in some houses, spirits can manifest so openly. Things can be thrown, things can be ripped off because the veil has been torn in those houses. The doors have been opened to give that spirit more reign. And I believe that here in these last days, we can continue to expect that. When we read the book of Revelation, we see it with the beings from the abyss, as well as other spiritual beings. And ultimately, when Yeshua comes back, the veil is completely gone. So as we get closer to the return of the Lord, we can continue to expect this stuff to rise. Hit the follow button if you like Bible content as such.
Damn, where'd it go in there? It's right there. It's right there. Somebody is walking on the mother-freaking clouds.
Something is walking on them clouds.
What is that?
It's a
a body. Look, it showed this. That's a person.
That was thin, y'all, because we got another story from someone who claims to have met someone who may not have been human at all. This story comes from someone named Bridget. That's a pseudonym, but she said she's a scientist who's written over 300 papers. And despite this, she still had her fair share of woo-woo stuff happen, but nothing ever like this. So this took place at the Atlanta airport on February 11th, 2026, so very recently. And she was flying through Atlanta to go to Las Vegas because she was going to see the Wizard of Oz at the Sphere. And she said she's not from Atlanta, but she has been to that airport many times. She's flown over 1.5 million miles and knows that airport like the back of her hand because it just seems like she's always flying through Atlanta. She's coming up the escalator on her way to Concourse B. She had to go to gate B18, and she gets off the escalator and she looks to her right and she sees what she described as a gorgeous light-skinned African-American woman with coiled gray hair on top of her head. She was very tall, she was very elegant, but she was walking very, very slowly. And this woman really seems to be struggling to walk. And Bridget says that she also struggles with a tick-borne illness, so she knows what it's like to get tired walking. And so she approaches this woman and she says, "Can I help you get somewhere?" And this woman looks at her and says, "Oh, honey, I must look as bad as I feel." Bridget says, "Oh, no, I didn't mean it like that." She said this woman was gorgeous. She looked maybe European, but she doesn't recall an accent. And they were right outside of B10 and she was going to B18. So she still had a little bit of time. And she's like, "Well, I'll just walk with you. I'll help you. Do you want to take my elbow?" And the woman just taps her on the inside of the arm and she says, "No, honey, I'm fine." It was a Wednesday at about 6:30 p.m. The airport was typically packed with business travel, but she noticed that nobody was touching them as they walked by. And Bridget says that she's been in a wheelchair because of her illness before, and she thought that that was strange because people just tend to push when they get in a hurry. But everybody was kind of making way, and they were walking so slow they were almost shuffling. But after about 10 minutes, the woman looks at her and says, "You know what, honey, I think I could use an orange juice." Coming up to a Starbucks anyway, so Bridget guides her to a seat and says, "You sit here, I'll go get you an orange juice from the coffee shop and I'll be right back." And she said she could still see the woman from where she was standing in the coffee shop after she entered, and she says, "Can I get an orange juice?" And they say, "We only have orange mango." And she goes, "I'm not sure if she's gonna like that. Let me bring it to her and then I'll be right back." Barista kind of gives her a look and she says, "I'm just bringing it to that gorgeous woman sitting right there." And the barista says, "What woman?" And she turns and she looks and she can't see the woman anymore, but she's like, she must just be behind that column. It was no more than 4 long strides from the entrance of the coffee shop to where this woman was sitting. So she goes back over there, doesn't see the woman, and she's looking around this pedestrian-filled concourse and cannot see her anywhere. And she said, "This woman was very tall. I'm very tall." She was also stood out like a sore thumb because of how she was dressed. So I don't know where she could have gone in that time because I wasn't gone for more than 2 minutes, and she also walked very, very slowly. So she's confused. She looks at the woman who's sitting at the next chair over and she says, "Excuse me, did you see where this woman that was sitting here just went?" The woman looks at her strangely and says, "What woman?" And she says, "She's dressed like a movie star. She was just sitting right here." And the woman said, "I'm sorry, I wasn't paying any attention." So then she looks at the man who's sitting on the other side of this chair and she says, "Excuse me, did you see where the woman who was just sitting here got up to go?" And he looks at her very strangely and he says, "There was nobody sitting there." She said at this point, she genuinely believed that both of those people were just in their own worlds and not paying attention. And she did not believe that this woman just disappeared into thin air. So she says, "Okay, never mind, thank you." And she goes back to the coffee shop and she brings it back and the barista's like, "What happened? Didn't she like it?" She said when he asked that question, she just had this pit in her stomach and she felt so bad that she lost this woman who she felt really needed her help. She was so bothered and concerned about this that she actually ended up going up to the gate agent. And she said that she knows that gate agents at airports are keenly aware of everyone around them for multiple reasons. And the gate agent's this tall man and she says, "Excuse me, did you see this woman who was sitting right here? She's a very striking woman. She's dressed like a movie star." Walked up to the gate together and we were walking so slowly that we were basically shuffling. And the gate agent just says, "No, I'm sorry, but I'll help you keep an eye out for her." And she says, "Yeah, I just feel like I'm going crazy. I feel like I just was talking to a ghost." But she really did not mean anything by it. She was just kind of thinking out loud and it was the first analogy that she could come up with. But the gate agent peers over his glasses and he says, "You know, baby, that would be a real possibility for you." He said it was so odd. So she just looked at him and said, "What?" And he said, "You know that, right?" She said it just struck her as so strange, but there was nothing else she could do. The woman was gone, so eventually she just waited out her flight and eventually got in line to board. And that same gate agent ended up being the gate agent who scanned her ticket. He tells him thank you and says, "You know, by the way, I never found that glamorous woman I was telling you about earlier." And he looks at her and he has no sense of recognition in his eyes and he says, "What woman? Who are you talking about?" He says, "You know, I came up to you and I was asking you to help me keep an eye out for that woman that I was looking for." And he says, "I didn't help you, but thank you for flying X, Y, and Z airline. Have a safe flight." Because the entire experience was so strange, she still can't stop thinking about it. She has never had anything like that happen previously, but she can't help but feeling like she was part of another dimension for a moment, and maybe that gate agent was also part of that dimension, however brief. This experience was followed by another odd physical experience a few weeks later, but did not go into detail. However, she said that she feels like her awareness about the hidden worlds around her are expanding. Who do you think this woman was? Clearly, no one else around her saw this woman. Depending on which platform you're watching this on, she may be in the comments. Let her know if you have questions. She's going to be on her anonymous account, though, she said.
There are angels all around you because the spirit realm is all around you all the time. Hi, I'm Auntie and I'm a seer. And on October 8th of 2024, my father took me up in a whirlwind, quick, fast, and in an unexpected hurry, hand in hand beyond the veil, to show me all of the truths and give me all of the proofs of all of the heavenly realms so that I can teach it to you. I have been able to see beyond the veil my entire life, but what I saw until October 8th of 2024 was just a sliver, and I'm talking a scotch of the truth and what is really beyond the veil. But since my father took me beyond the veil, I have not looked back since. The veil does not exist around me, and so it is my job now to show you all of the beautiful truths. And for people who don't see like I can see beyond the veil, for those who see with their temporal eyes, there are conduits, mediums, no pun intended, certain and different means that I can use so that you can see what I see, those of you who see with your temporal eye. Some of those conduits are smoke, mirrors, clouds, water. This is why clouds are mentioned over 150 times in the Bible. And he says, look up. Yeshua HaMashiach himself will be coming down in the clouds. The veil is thinning so very much over the past few years because so many people are coming to Christ. And with that, the light, well, it's expanding in ways that we've never seen. You would be amazed at all of the beautiful truths in the heavenly realms that you walk by every single day and so many people don't see. This beautiful angel caught my eye because of her eyes. Here's her eye here and her other eye. In the heavenly realms, we have buckles around our noses. And oftentimes in the heavenly realms, and it took me a long time to figure this out, they will have their tongues sticking out. This is something I have found when I am sharing truth or I am given revelations or truth. So I believe that when their tongues are sticking out, wisdom is being shared. But I want you to notice her eyeballs. I want you to see how absolutely beautifully round, undeniable her eyeballs are, and she is looking that way. Here's her adorable tongue. Those are her eyeballs. Do those look like clouds to you? They actually shine and shimmer as if the light is hitting it, and there is a green iris, just like this one, with a green iris. I really want you to take a look at those beautiful eyeballs and how they are perfectly round. They glisten as if they almost shine. And you can see she's looking at another angel right here. This beautiful girl. Her eye, her other eye, and her beautiful pointy nose. Because as I've mentioned many times, beyond the veil, angels, they take form of doves. There are multiple angels in this shot. There's one here. I could spend all day actually pointing out all of the angels. There's one here as well. In fact, I'm going to pop out of the way, let you screenshot this one. Go ahead and screenshot that and look through it. See how many angels you can find. And see how many angels you can find. Because guys, truly, there are angels all around you all of the time. And in many cases, you just have to look up to see. Oh, I love you with my great big gigantic heart, and I can't wait to hang with you in heaven. But until then, I'll continue teaching you all of the truths of the heavens that one day together we'll see. That one day together we will be.
We are in a new normal. People keep talking about the veil is thin, the veil is thin. The veil is non-existent. The veil has been gone since 2019. And right now we are in like a real split. And it's making it very clear. Like, it's one of them things that's like very clear of who's actually been doing the work and the people who have been getting by off riding the coattails of the people who've been doing the work. And a lot of the people who have not been doing the work are angry at the people who have been doing the work because they are starting to separate themselves. And those demons and them spirits that's on them don't like that because they need a host. They need some type of energy from the motherfuckers, again, who are actually doing the work. I know for me, like the last couple of years, I have been so called to stay within myself. Like I got this poem that I wrote called Out. My first lines is, I see why the elder said don't be in and out the house. You letting demons in, close that door, sit your ass down. Like as I'm getting older, I understand why my grandma liked being in the house. Like, especially when you curate your home to really be cozy, like being outside right now is too much, because again, you see the split of the people who've actually been doing the work and the angry demons who ain't been putting in that work, and it's showing, and they taking out the frustration that they feel because they don't want to accept how the collective is shifting right now. So y'all gotta be careful, because something that I also noticed is that you're gonna see it in people who you are close to, and it's gonna suck. But I feel like right now it's very much so imperative to be around like-minded individuals who want to grow and who on the same page that you on, y'all. Because like I said, these demons that's on people, I don't know, it's different. After 2020, it's been different, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows it, because like I said, the veil been gone since 2019, and when COVID dropped, you could see the people who spent that time in isolation really doing the work, and the people who was just getting by. I'm telling you, like, the split is real.
I know I can't be the only one experiencing this right now. I know my spiritual friends are gonna know what I'm talking about, but everyone else is probably gonna think I'm batshit crazy. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. I'm used to it at this point. I've been spiritual and like sensitive to spiritual things my whole entire life. You can ask my mama. I was always a spiritually intense child. I had crazy low-key prophetic dreams. And I would also pick up on things that other people couldn't see about other people. But that intensity that you feel as a spiritually sensitive child, I wouldn't necessarily say that it fades away, but you know, when you get older, it feels less intense. It's not as scary. You know how when babies, they see someone and they immediately sense that that person is evil, and they'll start crying and they'll refuse to be held by that person? Or I even remember in childhood just looking at certain people and their face and the way they would look scary. They would genuinely look scary and look evil, even though to everyone else it was just a normal person. I feel like now more than ever the veil is so thin, it almost feels like how it felt when I was a kid, where you look at someone and you automatically know that person is evil. Whereas, you know, maybe even like 2 years ago it would take a little longer, but now nope, it's instant. It's instant. I will know. Oh my gosh, and another thing I've noticed is because the veil is so thin, the power of your tongue, the power of your words, guys, never in my life have I seen it be this quick. For example, just today, hours ago, my husband was driving me to work. We were chit-chatting in the car, talking about how nice it would be to have a new car, and how our car is getting old. It has a lot of miles on it. We wouldn't be surprised if something happened and it went kaputs. I'm not even kidding you. Within seconds, boom, check engine light is on, brake light is on, the traction light is on. All these lights start popping up on our dashboard, and we're like, what the hell? Then the car starts making a bunch of rattly noises, and yeah, we're not driving that car. We're taking it to the shop. It was within seconds, and that's happened in other instances as well. Oh yeah, the veil is hella thin right now. I know my other spiritual friends will know what I'm talking about. Be careful with what you say and what you open your mouth to speak. Also, trust your intuition and be quick with it. Don't question it. Don't ponder it too much. If your gut is telling you this person is bad news, do not question it. Walk the other way. Stay protected out there. Stay vigilant. But I guess the really cool thing about the veil being so thin is we can also really peep when somebody's light is shining so bright. And there are a lot of really beautiful souls in the world too, so don't forget that. Oh my God, what could that possibly be? Oh, don't touch the video. That is so fucking weird. What the fuck is that? That's not fucking normal. It's like colors, it's like blue. Like, what the fuck? What is that? What is that, bro? What the fuck is that? Do y'all see that? But it's something.
just even in the video, you see how different all the rest of the clouds look compared to that one?
Yeah. And the video's not even giving it justice. Like, if you see it in person, it's very colorful. Like, super colorful. You see blue.
You see that it's blue. That's what you see, a whole bunch of blue.
Yeah, blue. You see yellow. You see orange. What is that? It gives plasma or something.
That's cool.
I'm about to just briefly talk about something, right? I feel like the veil is lowering. The veil is coming down. Or I'm just like being ushered into my mediumship more or something like that. Like I don't really understand it, but I'm about to talk about it. Recently, you know how people be like, oh, like I be seeing things out of the corner of my eyes. Yeah, so it's been that for me times 1,000. I'll see things out of the corner of my eyes sometimes, and then other times I will see full blown like people, sometimes full blown silhouettes. And then when I look, like when I start to focus in, there will be nothing there. Or not even necessarily that there won't be anything there. You can tell that there's something there, but you kind of can't see that there's anything there. I kind of don't fully know how to explain it. Sometimes when I have had encounters with spirits before, it's always come through feeling. Like you can definitely feel the presence of a spirit when a spirit is in your presence. But recently it's gotten more like physical, not physical like, you know, shit's flying around the room, but physical in the sense of like, okay, maybe not physical, more visual. Like I can see them occurring or appearing more versus just feeling the presence of it or a presence of the spirit around me. Sometimes it'll be one, sometimes it'll be multiple. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up now is because I was outside having a conversation with myself about how I literally have been having more encounters with spirits recently. And bitch, I saw a fucking silhouette. I'm like, bro. Sometimes it'll be moments where like I'm smelling something super specific of someone. Sometimes those people will still be alive and I'll kind of just like brush that off as, oh, like me and this person are energetically connected in this moment in time. Sometimes it'll be a specific feeling in a part of my body that feels like I'm being touched. I don't want to say I'm being touched, but like I'm being interacted with. And then sometimes now this one is really what has been getting me. Sometimes more so recently, I've been seeing like silhouettes and shapes and figures in reflections. Now, when I was younger, that used to be something that I thought like I would just make up in my head, you know, like recently I keep referencing adaptive reality, adaptive daydreaming, but that's like the best thing that I could kind of like compare it to. When I was younger, I would be able to do that same thing and it would be like, it would be people, like I could see them, I could interact with them. Bro, everything was so like just in front of me and everything was just so around. Like I can remember seeing everything. But now it's kind of like more watered down sometimes. Then the sometimes where it's not sometimes I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know if there's a veil going down. I don't know if I'm being ushered into my gifts more or something like that. I don't know if the ancestors knocking on the door like, bitch, open up. But yeah, no, like that's something that's so interesting to me. And I just kind of, I'm purging my thoughts on TikTok right now. Anyway, this is the most I've ever posted. So here we are. I'm posting again.
Greetings, beloved. The ancestors told me to tell you that the veil is thin right now. The veil is thin. I just came out of all-night prayer. The veil is so thin that you can touch them on their faces. The veil is so thin. Play your tambourines. Sing your gospel songs. Tell your stories in your family. Ooh. Light a campfire outside and sing songs of Zion. They are here with us to encourage us, to comfort us, to let us know that everything is going to be all right. Everything is going to be all right. Light your candles. Burn your incense. Yes. Eat grandma's favorite pie. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Drink their coffee. Drink coffee with them. Burn tobacco with them. Yes. Burn the cigarettes and the tobaccos and blow it into their faces, on their pictures, on your altars, beloved. They are here. They are here. We are not alone. Peace and blessings. Shalom.
This is not time-lapse, manipulated video. This is actually live right now. The camera every once in a while moving.
Right. But when Christians tell you that there is a spiritual war taking place that's going to begin to bleed into this physical realm, we're the crazy ones. Bro, honestly, the truth is, when you get to a point in your studies, in your walk with God, or you just accept you're going to be looked at as crazy. Because we've been knew about that. We've been knew that type of stuff took place. Whatever's going on right there, yes, they always explain it away with lightning, some sort of scientific sort of explanation. But ultimately, the Bible says this, that it is a foolishness. God will use the foolish things of the earth to confound the wise. He will use the weak things of the earth to confound the mighty. And the Bible says that preaching is foolishness. Because in this world, the Bible also says in Ecclesiastes that people can't find out why and how God exists because God put the world in their heart. And Jesus told us that the mysteries of the kingdom are not given to everyone. So yeah, someone like me and other Christians who are trying to spread the word and blow the trumpet will say that that is more than likely a supernatural phenomenon. At the very least, it has a supernatural origin with a biologic or like a geographic explanation. But it's very much so, there are things taking place and the veil is thinning. That's why things look so crazy and things are getting so weird. But like I said, and like the Bible says, call me foolish, but the foolish things of this world will confound the wise.
People are starting to look like what's on the inside of them. And I know that might sound crazy, but hear me out. It is actually quite interesting to see. When you are connected to God, when you are connected to Source, when you're connected to yourself, you really do glow differently than a lot of people. And everybody else can see it. Everybody else can see it. It is literally like they see a beam of light around me, the way people react to me. It's kind of scary, but it's also interesting to see now that the veil has lifted from me and I see people for who they are. Better believe those demons, not even just demons, but believe that they can see your light too, because they know. Just like we can see them, they can see you.
Hi, so story time about how in 2004 I was in a really bad car accident and pretty sure I died and started experiencing very bizarre things that I can't logically explain since that accident. And I've never shared anything like this because I don't want people thinking I'm crazy, but at this point I really don't care anymore. I'm hoping that maybe I can find people that have experienced similar things so I don't feel so nuts. So in 2004, my friend and I were driving in a Toyota Corolla. She was driving, I was in the passenger seat. I'm going to try and make this as fast as possible. So she's driving, I'm in the passenger seat. We're on a highway in a rural area. So there's not a ton of cars, but you can go pretty fast. And we're driving along in her Toyota Corolla, and boom, a truck, huge truck, comes into our lane and hits us head on. Now we're both going pretty fast. Come to find out, he was a drunk driver. So when this accident occurred, I remember, I'm pretty sure that I died because there was just nothing, just emptiness. There was absolutely nothing other than my own voice say, you just died. This is it. You absolutely just died. And I remember there was no pain. I was not in any pain and I wasn't scared and I was very calm, but it's like, there was no body. There was no being present. It was just like my consciousness that I heard say, "You just died." Well, anyways, that did not last very long. I don't know because I couldn't gauge time, but it didn't feel like it lasted very long. And I started to come to, and I couldn't move. I could not move my body. It felt like a statue. And I was trying to get my brain to tell my body to move because I knew that I was in an accident, but I was stiff. Some people saw the accident to stop. They stopped and came to help and pulled me out of the car and brought me into a ditch. And I was slowly coming more and more to, and the pain was starting to kick in. Now, if you would have seen her car, you would definitely think there's no way these people made it out alive. But both her and I both walked away with no broken bones, and we were fine. Now, I have some damage still to this day on my right leg that bothers me from time to time, but it's nothing. And I just am so grateful because I don't know how we made it out of this accident alive. Okay, I'm going to skip to the weird part now. A few months after this accident, weird stuff started happening. This is when I noticed the veil was thinning. Now, I didn't start putting two and two together up until recently. I heard someone else on this app share their story, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've experienced the same thing, and I started connecting the dots. So a few months after this accident, I'm driving down this same highway. This is late at night to go back to her house, and it's probably like midnight or 1 a.m. And as I'm driving, I see a black man on the side of the road walking towards my car on this highway, and he was dressed very different, not from this time. He was wearing these very worn out overalls and a very worn out white shirt, but you could tell he was just not from this time. And I remember seeing him walking like he didn't know he was on a highway and there was a car coming. And the crazy thing is, this man was translucent. And I know that sounds crazy. And if I didn't experience it, I would think this girl's crazy for even posting this. Anyways. So he was translucent, and I remember thinking, I'm probably just really tired and seeing things. And I also remember being like, what is that? Like, am I seeing that? Like, what in the world? Because I've never experienced anything like that. So I for sure just chalked it up to, I'm losing my mind and I'm probably just very tired. So let me fast forward a couple months after that. I get the flu. And I decide one of the nights that I have the flu that I'm going to sleep out on the couch. And I fall asleep on my back. Now, I have this cat at the time who is like my soul cat. You guys know, if you've ever had a pet where you have such a strong bond with them that you just know this pet is your soul companion. This is your soul pet. They've seen you through the worst times. So I go to sleep on my back on the couch, and my cat is asleep between my legs, just curled up between my legs. That's not uncommon for him. So something in the middle of the night wakes me up. And when I wake up, I look to my right, and there is a little boy sitting right there. And he's calmly just petting my cat. Now, I am rubbing my eyes and freaking out because this boy is translucent and he's, again, not from our time. You could very much tell that he wasn't dressed from this time. And I was actively freaking out in the moment, thinking, what in the world? And I remember reaching out and my hand going right through him and doing it again because I'm trying to make sense of it and I can't. And he's just very calmly just sitting there, just petting my cat. Now I'm just watching him, trying to figure out what the hell is happening. So I start thinking, and I think, okay, I went to sleep, and when I went to sleep, my cat was between my legs. And I look down, and my cat is right there between my legs. And I look back up, the little boy is gone. Now, weird stuff like this with the veil thinning has happened to me ever since. I don't have control over it. Many weird things have happened. And I'm wondering if anybody else has experienced anything like this so that I don't feel so crazy, because I've tried to make logical sense of this so many times and I can't. I know what I experienced. I've tried to gaslight myself into thinking that I'm crazy, but I know what I have experienced. And I can't explain these things, and I just want to know if anything similar has happened to anybody else like this so that I can kind of make sense of it for once. Okay, love you, bye.
Friend and I joke all the time about how life just feels like Groundhog's Day. Groundhog's Day, maybe with a side of Truman Show, Black Mirror, and some Twilight Zone. But, for the vast majority of us, life just feels like Groundhog's Day. And we all know, right, back in 2020, life changed forever. We will never get normal back. That's just when life, took a dive. But what's interesting is in 2026, it feels like there was another shift. And ever since this year started, it honestly feels like there's been a palpable tension in the air. And for believers who feel like something is coming, that's the Holy Spirit, we can feel the return of the Lord is near. But what's interesting is non-believers can feel like something is coming too. I'm watching New Agers. I'm watching, people who don't believe in anything. So many people can feel like something is coming. And there's this tension in the air. It's like a balloon is about to pop. Something is about to break, because the spiritual realm is becoming more real. The veil is thinning, y'all. That is what is happening right now. That is why the world feels the way it does, because the literal veil between our dimension and the spiritual realm is thinning. Evil is literally starting to flood this world. That is what people are feeling. The veil is thinning. That dimension is starting to crack open, if you will. And what is in that dimension, in the demonic kingdom, is flooding into this dimension. This world is about to enter into the 7-year tribulation, and it is about to become a lot more supernatural. People are going to literally see demonic entities. And that's why...
Friend, the reason you're not sleeping is because the veil is thinning. The reason you're not sleeping, the veil is thinning. Like, the spirits are here. The good and the bad. The in-between, too. It's like people who really tapped in understand we can see things that aren't even here. And it's like Earth is in this weird nadir point where either as a collective, we're going to shift and make shit happen for the better, or we're going to shake and the world's going to crumble. Which God always wins. So, like, spoiler alert, the good is going to happen. But, like, that's why you can't sleep. Everything going on in the world right now, everybody's vibrations, we can feel it as a collective, as a conscious. We can literally experience energy similar to the way in which animals know there are earthquakes before they're happening. We can feel it. We too have spiritual powers that you can choose to tap into if you want to, or you can choose to ignore. And so some people still may be asleep. There's some people out there getting real good sleep, and I'm jealous. But it's some of us who can feel these energies intrinsically and extrinsically. So if you tapped in and you experiencing like lack of sleep, or even just like any of your chakras feel blocked out of nowhere, similar to what happened during 2020 in COVID, if you feel that same kind of feeling, maybe amplified or a little different, congratulations, because you're spiritually tapped in. You can feel that the world is shifting and that the veil is thinning.
For the week and a half that I was on life support, I was in limbo. I was sitting on the edge of a cliff the entire time. I can't tell you where this cliff was. It wasn't anywhere on this planet Earth, but it was beautiful. The cliff was very tall. The best I can compare it to would be like the Cliffs of Moher type vibes, right? And I had my feet hanging over the edge of the cliff. Like my feet were suspended in dead air, midair. But I was sitting on the ground, and I remember sitting there for what felt like ages. Time did not exist in this plane. So I was not concerned about time. I was not thinking about it. It was not even a concept. So therefore it was not even something to think about. It was just, the experience was just ever existing. I felt so calm. And I think even to this day, unconsciously, my soul, my spirit, and my body tries to get back to that feeling often. And it's like a state of just pure wholeness. When I was sitting there on that cliff, I was myself, but I was also the exact same as everything else that was surrounding me. Not just like scientific, like we were made of the same thing, but like I was at the same playing field as the grass that I was sitting on and the air that I was breathing. It was all one. We were all one. It was a connection. It was just like true peace. But I sat there on the edge of that cliff with my feet hanging, and I watched what I can only best describe as a sunset, but it wasn't a sunset like you've seen here on Earth. What I was watching was a living, breathing ball of energy that was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It was bright white light, but it was colorful, but it wasn't blinding, but it was the brightest thing I've ever seen. It didn't have a face. It was a literal orb of pulsing, breathing, living energy. And below the cliff was an ocean. I don't see land. Again, I just see open ocean. And there are beings that are at the bottom of the cliff. They were waiting for me, but not in a way that was like they were even expecting me. They were just there. And I wish I could explain what they looked like, but I can't. Like, they didn't even have bodies. Like, they were spirits. But they told me that if I wanted to jump off of the cliff, they would catch me. I would be safe. I wouldn't be hurt. There was big emphasis on, like, if you choose to come with us, you will be A-okay. Like, you will be okay. But there was equal emphasis on, but don't come until you feel ready. And we will wait here and we will not rush you. And we will be here as long as we need to be here. Like, there's absolutely no rush. Like, there was just as much equal emphasis as for me to stay exactly where I was as there was for me to go with them. So they told me basically, they were like, if you come with us, we'll take you to the orb. And I remember thinking like, thanks, like, yeah, I'll get there eventually. I'm just like chilling right here for now. I'm just gonna like push staying up here a little bit longer because I'm enjoying being up here too. If I haven't made it clear, like it's just this cliff. Behind me it's just open grass. And it's like, if you can picture like an open field with grass and flowers and some trees here and just like kind of foresty vibes. And I haven't said this even yet, but behind me, there was a shed. And I did go in the shed. And I remember not liking it in there. And so that's why I didn't go back in. It wasn't like scary looking, but it definitely it didn't feel like it fit like this heavenly landscape that I was in, right? Like, it was like brutal reminder of humanity sitting in this like field of heaven of mortality. It was like this sinking, sounds brutal, but there was like an energy around it that felt humanity and like the energy that comes with being a human and having a physical body and being physically stuck to certain places, like the actual energy of being a human. It felt like that was like orbiting around this shed. And when I went in, there were etchings of names on the walls. And it was like sad. because there were thousands of names. And when I say sad, I don't mean like heartbreaking sad. I just mean like a heavy melancholy energy that's like there, and it's significant, and it's something that you need to recognize, because, you know, there's some feelings of loss that were hanging in there, and like real, like the feelings that come with being human. You know, being human is brutal. And I remember just like being in there and like being like, I need to get the fuck out of here. I did not like it in there at all. So I left very quickly and spent the rest of my time on the edge of that cliff.
Did you know that there's places on this earth where the veil between the spirit realm and the physical realm is very thin? What's up? My name is Phoenix and I can see into the spirit realm. First off, a little bit about my gift. I was compared to like the brightness setting on a phone, where I can turn it all the way down or turn it all the way up. Normally, if I have it turned all the way up, there's just so much going on in the spirit realm. It's like extra layer of reality that exists all around us that most people just don't have the senses to perceive. And it's like just crazy colors, blasts of weird energy around, like covering and surrounding people, and like demons and angels just swirling around, and all these other crazy things. Normally keep it down pretty low. Only times I really amp it up is if I'm praying over someone, or if the Holy Spirit prompts me to look at something in the spirit, or look at someone in the spirit, or pray and ask him to show me what's going on spiritually. Being said, the Lord has had me travel a lot around the world. And there are certain places where this veil, or whatever it is that separates the spirit realm from the physical realm, is much thinner naturally. I didn't even have to turn up my gift, and I was already just picking up and seeing things with my plain eyes. I'm from Arizona in the USA, and so I will say that Arizona, more than any other state in America, seems to be a thin place, the entire state. For some credentials, I've been to 43 of the 50 states in America, so I have had a lot of experiences in different places. Now, I grew up mostly in Arizona, but I did grow up some in Michigan and Iowa as well. And I had a lot of family in like West Virginia, Tennessee, Florida, and out of any other state, I noticed when living in Iowa and Michigan, I hardly ever had any supernatural encounter. Where in Arizona, it was just a regular, multiple times a day occurrence. It wasn't until I got older that I started realizing this. I was like, oh, so there's something about Arizona in particular. Then in Arizona itself, there's several different locations that where the veil is especially even thinner than the rest of Arizona. One of those is the most famous, and it's Sedona. For those of you that don't know, Sedona is like world famous for its beautiful red rocks and its vortexes, which scientists acknowledge but they can't explain. And for this reason, it's like a hotbed for New Agers and a lot of mystics and psychics and stuff, because the veil is so thin there. There's also like an insane amount of UFO sightings and just a lot of other weird supernatural stuff that goes on there. I actually have a post about it on my page as well. Another one of these places that I've been to is Native American reservations. So growing up in Arizona, I used to live down south outside of between Queen Creek and Coolidge. So like literally the middle of the desert, especially when I was a kid. It's nothing. It was like our neighborhood in the middle of nowhere. And in our neighborhood, we lived on the very edge of the neighborhood. So in our backyard, like right over the brick wall was just desert. So like half a mile, not even a mile out, you hit a fence and then you'd be in the Native American reservation that was there. And me and my friends and my family stuff, we'd go hiking out there all the time and stuff. Sometimes the hikes would be in the mountains or the deserts that were part of the reservation. And I remember even as a little kid, as soon as we would cross that line, it was just different. I could like see things physically, like, and normally it's like I can't see things physically unless I'm like turning up my gift, like I said. And it would just be like really intense there. Same in Sedona. This has happened too for several other Native American reservations I've been to around the Four Corners area in New Mexico, Colorado, in Wyoming, in Montana, and several other locations, in Oklahoma especially. I don't know why that is or why specifically all these areas that have been designated as Native American reservations, the veil is incredibly thin. If any of you guys have any insight on this, I would love to hear about it in the comments, because this is something I've always been curious about. If it's something that like the Native Americans do to the land, if they're like it's some kind of practice that they do, or if it's like they chose that land specifically because the veil is thin, or if the government just happen to assign them coincidentally to these lands that where the veil is spiritually thin. The place that I noticed where the veil is really, really thin, like almost thinner than anywhere else I've ever been, is the Arctic Circle. Earlier this year, up in February, I was in Lapland, Finland. I stayed a few days in the city of Rovaniemi. So if you look on a map, it's right on the border of what they call the border of the Arctic Circle. Like literally half the town is above it and half the town is underneath it. Do not, like literally in the town, as soon as I would cross that border, like that they consider to be the North Pole or like the Arctic Circle, the veil is so thin. Like, I was seeing things plain as day, clearer than I've ever seen them anywhere else spiritually. Literally with my physical eyes, I would see the things without even having to tap in or pray or like try to see in the spirit. And then as soon as I would cross the border in the town that was below the Arctic Circle, it would just go back to normal. I haven't been anywhere else in the Arctic Circle besides there in Lapland, Finland, but I'm assuming it's the same everywhere else around the world in the Arctic Circle. Another place where the veil is typically usually very thin is on the top of mountains. And this is very interesting because in almost every single ancient culture around the world, mountains have always been revered as a meeting place of the gods. You even see this in the Bible when Moses or Elijah or several other prophets, they wanted to see God and experience him or hear from him, they would go to a mountaintop. Another place that I noticed where the veil is really thin is Lake Atitlan in Guatemala. Really, really thin there as well, around the entire lake. And it's like in that lake, there was like a giant portal where things were just coming in and out of constantly. And that's another really big new agey spot. But something I want to emphasize with you guys is that these places where the veil is thin doesn't just mean that it's closer to the demonic realm. It also is closer to the angelic and heavenly realm as well. I think a lot of people demonize these places where the veil is thin because these places are hotbeds for witches and new age and all these other occultic practices and religions. It's just because all these other religions and practices actually tap into the spirit realm, where Christians, we just completely ignore it. That's not how it's meant to be, guys. We see this in the Bible. The Bible is full of supernatural and spiritual encounters. For too long, the entire Christian church has just demonized the entire spirit realm. And it's only the occultists and the dark kingdom of darkness that are actively operating in the spirit and in these places where the veil is thinner. I think it's very high time that Christians, we step up as believers and also take advantage of these places where the veil is spiritually thin and are not scared of them. Rather, use our authority in Jesus Christ to claim dominion over these places spiritually and physically. Help draw in the heavenly realm and God's presence more than the kingdom of darkness is being pulled into our physical realm. If any of you guys have any more insight onto why these specific places are like this, I would love to hear about it in the comments. As always, God bless you guys.
The veil is thin, the constructs have been broken, everything you think you know and have learned has been a lie. Yes. Bobby Hemmett, the great Bobby Hemmett, been talking about this for a very, 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 very long time. And this clip I'm about to post is going to ruffle some feathers. So if you're not open and ready to receive, go on and scroll. No need to come in my comments with that Jesus stuff, okay? Because Jesus never asked you to worship him. I'ma say it all the damn time. Not nowhere did he ask you to worship him. And what's crazy is, y'all done basically said, we ain't even gonna worship God no more. We just gonna worship Jesus. But you know what? I digress. Let me get off that. Watch this clip by the great Bobby Hemmett. And put in the comments what you think.
But I don't want to get into Christianity because the devil, the God of Christianity, is this particular God. The devil. The God who created the earth in 7 days. That's the devil. Must understand this. You see what I'm saying? They changed around. That's why they had to kill the Gnostic crew off. You see? You know. Now, so they had this particular entity named Adalabrat. Adalabrat came and created 7 planetary archons, or 12, which would be the ones in this particular zodiac. So this was an evil person. He first rose up and then bothered to look up above him and see Sirius and the other gods. He said, I am a jealous God, and let it be known I shall have no gods before me. So if you want to identify that, that's the biblical God. But he didn't bother to look up and see that there was gods before him. This God is a subordinate God, the God of Christianity and Judaism is a subordinate God, which means up under a higher God, the unknown God, the hidden God. You see, y'all get this? He creates the 7 planetary spheres, Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, and all of them. And he goes down and he creates those particular ones, but he don't give them no light. So as a result, he was ruling over them. Newt convinced them to create the earth and say, well, you can rule over the earth. These other archons, or they call it demiurge. Then Adalabrat comes down basically reconciles with these particular demiurge people or these other archons, and they tried to people the earth because she convinced, and so they make this physical body, which is this, but it couldn't stand up. So Newt comes back to recorrect things. She tells Adalabra to breathe life into the physical body. When he breathed life into the physical body, the little bit of light that he had went into the physical body. When the Archon and Adalabra realized that the God or the man that they had created was greater than them, they basically tried to destroy them. Now, this is the point that's crucial on what's going on. To make this whole thing rise up and correct the mistake of Adalabra, this subordinate God, this God that has people worship in him. You see, thou shalt have no gods before me. To recorrect that, the highest God, which is Sirius, which is a reflection of the mother, said that I have to go down to the earth and go into incarnation and ransom myself off because I'm higher than him, I'm more powerful than him. And I have to ransom myself off so I can redeem the physical bodies that he used to trap the souls in. Y'all get this? So as a result, the most ancient star, which is Sirius, broke pieces of her off and sent it to earth to incarnate into the physical bodies and hide itself in the physical bodies, and that's called the hidden God, Amun-Ra. It broke the pieces off. And each piece that is broken off is the seed of Soot, which is Sirius, or Set in here, or Seth in here, which ain't got nothing to do with the evil Seth, which is in each and every one of us called melanin. Now, the key is what you have to realize, that if the most ancient God or the creator God that created the universe, not this sphere. There's a difference between the creator of the earth and the lower realm and the creator of the universe and the God. The most ancient God broke pieces off and he's in all of us. Then you are the original creator yourself.
What's something you think about on a daily basis that most people would call you crazy for? I'll go first. I constantly am thinking about how thin the veil is between the spiritual world and our current world, and how like prophecy is just playing out in front of our eyes. And I can't watch anything anymore. I can't listen to certain music. I can't watch movies and TV without like seeing a little more beyond what it is, you know. I can't watch anything surface level anymore at all. And I listened to this interview with Nathan Reynolds, I think is his name. And he was talking about how his family is basically, his entire family believe or have lineage to the fallen angels. And he grew up in a Luciferian home, and he has since pulled out of that. But he was talking about the ties to everything around us, our government, our politicians, like our political system and everything, and how basically everything that's going on around us is going on for a reason. It's not just because people want money or whatever. It's not any of that. It's literally to rule. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. I think about it daily. I think about this. But he talks about the currency being power, and lives basically is the currency. It's children being used, people being used as sacrifices, and they put everything in plain sight. And it's just, I don't know, it's pretty crazy. You guys should look it up. Nathan Reynolds. We just need to remember that Satan was banished to earth to be the ruler here, and unfortunately he has put his mark on it, and we are not meant to be here. We're meant to be somewhere else, and just have discernment and remember you have the Holy Spirit.
I'm gonna tell you right now, the veil is thinner than my motherfucking edges, and my edges is just naturally thin. Shout out to them people on my daddy's side. Very, very, very thin. And it's almost like scary thin because things that you see are not gonna, you're gonna be like, I don't think that's real. That can't be real. Yes, you did hear that. Yes, you did see that creeping out the corner of your peripheral. Yes. The dead is just all around you. Okay? Spirit is all around you. It's very important that y'all keep yourselves protected at this time. We are going through wars, environmental changes. Just things are happening at a very fast pace. And this is because of the timeline that we're in. All of the collective, all of y'all that are watching me, we're all in the same timeline going through the same shit. Pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to synchronicities. All of these things are not just by mistake. We are going through a spiritual revolution. And because we are waking up, I believe we're going to jump into the correct timeline we're supposed to be in. A lot of things are being exposed, especially about the administration that is running this place. I won't say it so it doesn't get flagged for politics. Because why the hell did Elon Musk's baby mama, the one that just had the baby, when they was doing the election run with Trump, his last BM, get on Beyonce's internet? No, Noah the Black Cauldron's internet, talking about how Elon Musk really did cheat for Rump. And that the satellite conspiracy, the lasers, all that, it's not a conspiracy, it's real. And that's his baby mama. She told him, stop talking to me about this because I don't feel comfortable and I'm gonna like get called to testify and I don't want no parts. I'm gonna do a video on that because I got a couple words for that one. But that's besides the point. I'm hoping that all of this thinning will help us break into the right timeline. Okay? Because they're running like this. And I got another video I'm about to release where the Matrix, a glitch in the Matrix, is so common nowadays that it's not even a special thing anymore. It's not. Because the veil is thin. Our words are colliding. Your intuition, your discernment, your psychic abilities that you probably didn't even know that you fucking had, all heightened. A lot of the things that normally would not be exposed, as in you being in a simulation, is going to be exposed. The veil isn't just about paranormal. The veil is not about just paranormal. The veil is not just about paranormal. And I think people always coincide the veil thinning with just paranormal activity when that's not even the case. The veil is everything that is on the other side. Think of the veil as if it is a screen, like a screen, or even think of it as a wedding veil, right? And it's so thin that you can see through it, but you can't see, if that makes sense, right? This screen, you know it exists. It's right here, right? And on the other side of that screen, that veil, is everything that we're not supposed to know. Everything that we're not supposed to experience. And that includes spirits, the dead, different parallel universes. I mean, all of my mystics, my mediums, my clairaudience, clairvoyants, psychics, are y'all okay? Are y'all well? Because I know I'm over here like, stop it, help me. So I know we're struggling, you know, but the best advice that I can tell you guys, all of us, even if you don't have those abilities, which everybody has some type of ability, some type of gift. Trust me, y'all have the gift. Y'all just don't know how to fine tune it and like use it. But the best thing I can tell you guys is to stay prayed up, protected, keep your head covered, especially in places like concerts, Walmart, Target, festivals, crowded areas. Keep your head covered. And if you don't, like, for instance, I went to a Young Jeezy concert and it was super formal and I did not want to cover my head. That dress was too beautiful to take the beauty away from not only this face, because this face card is never declined, that dress. So what I did was I did anoint myself in the center of my head with some protection oil, some Crown Me oil. I do sell them on my website. And I just had my hairstylist do my hair the normal way, just regular degular. That protected me in that instance. And God even protected me even more because I asked him to. I asked them to. And they set me in my whole like own section. It was like just me and my husband vibing out, doing all the, you know how concerts go. But more importantly, I need you guys to be brave during this whole ordeal, because the veil will be thinning. The veil has been thinning since 2020. It started, there was a little bitty hole in the veil in 2020 that started off as like a pinhole, and now it is a gaping fucking hole. And it will startle you if you don't know any better. You will dream about your deceased loved ones. Hell, my mama dreamed about my daddy. Now, mind you, before he even passed, he was still obsessed with my mama. He wanted that lady bad. He knew he fumbled the bag. So he was always obsessed, and she dreamt about him, and she told me about it, and I'm just like, well, Mom, she's not spiritual like me. She is spiritual, but she's not so deep like me, or deep into it like me. And I told her, like, well, he's just visiting. The veil is so thin. Y'all have to keep up with y'all spiritual hygiene. That is all for today, YouTube. If you would like me to cover a person, place, or topic, leave it down below. And until next time.